the story of the day was the result that we saw on the other end of Manchester United, who Rob Dawson's there for us at Old Trafford. Coming into this match, United, Rob, had lost 6 matches through 10 in all comps for the first time since before Sir Alex was appointed, and then appropriately they get the winner, the equalizer and winner in Fergie time. What was the mood like at Old Trafford when that second McTominay goal went in?
Oh, it was absolute bedlam. Probably because before stoppage time, it just didn't look like the United were going to score at all. They were 1-0 down for such a big period of the game. You know, we're used to seeing United in situations like that, really knocking the door down, you know, chance after chance. Maybe their goalkeeper has the game of his life, and it simply wasn't like that. It really was only when the game started sort of drifting towards its conclusion into stoppage time that United really started looking like they were going to score. The first McTominay goal comes out of nothing, really. A great touch in the box from him and a shot into the bottom corner. And then after that, United, you know, the crowd get behind them. They've only got a couple of minutes left. Brentford give a silly free kick away in front of the benches and allow United to pump the ball into the box. And, you know, it's just one of those days where the ball falls to the right man and McTominay's there to head in a winner. So, you know, ecstatic scenes at the end for Man United fans that lifted the roof off the place. The issue is, when all that calms down, you know, why were United in that position in the first place? Why was this not a game that United had done and dusted far earlier than that? Why did they need 2 goals in stoppage time to win? Obviously, United fans who are leaving Old Trafford now won't really be thinking of that, but it's something that Erik ten Hag really needs to sort for the next 2 weeks during this international break.
Well, Rob, I'll follow up with that rhetorical question and make it an actual one. Why were United not able to capitalize against a Brentford side that came to Old Trafford, having not won on that ground since it was New Trafford, 1937?
I think it's just a sign of where United are at the moment. They look like a team that are devoid of confidence. They've got an awful lot of injuries. Ten Hag is having to play players in positions they're not comfortable in. The Brentford goal is calamity after calamity, to be honest. You know, Casemiro gives the ball away in midfield. He misses his challenge to win it back. The ball breaks in the box. Lindelof has a chance to clear. He kicks it straight to one of Brentford's men. It works back out to Jensen, who shoots. The shot should be saved by Onana, who's having a tough time anyway, and it squeezes under his right hand. You know, it really is a typical United goal that they're conceding at the moment. And for the 6th time in 11 games this season, United give away the first goal. And once you're in that position, you're really up against it. You know, credit to United, you know, they found a way to fight back. And so often this season, they haven't managed to do that. So they do deserve credit for managing to find those 2 goals in stoppage time. You know, the big question now is whether this is a trigger for Man United to go on a little bit of a winning run and put this poor start to the season behind them, or whether it's just a sticking plaster over larger cracks here. And, you know, in the next couple of weeks after the international break, we're going to see United revert back to that form that has seen them start the season so poorly.
Stevie, it was your countryman who had the equalizer and the match winner. But even as Rob mentioned, United were building to this. They had a goal ruled out because of an offside on Martial. It was an own goal, but Martial was offside in the 89th minute. Yet still, United find a way. What can these 2 stoppage time goals do for United now as they try to find a measure of footing themselves to get out of that mid-table?
Well, I mean, it would be very easy to say that, oh, this is going to kickstart the season and everybody's going to be confident and the feel-good factor. I mean, as Rob says, when that wears off and Ten Hag comes in tomorrow and goes through the game and looks at the performances and looks at the way the team played, reality is going to set in. You know, the fact that he started with Johnny Evans and Maguire tells you that he is searching. And the fact that it took them to injury time to actually, I'm going to say create a chance, but they just created bedlam and they ended up getting some opportunities because there was no football involved in it particularly. Yes, you could say Garnacho had a run at the defender, but it's all scrambling, missed kicks from Brentford defenders. And then basically it's a Hail Mary at the end to Maguire, who heads it to McTominay. So in the cold light of day, Ten Hag hasn't really got any answers to any of the questions he had before this game. He'll be sitting in that room with his coaches and he's going to try and figure out, what do we do now? Because that team that he put out, although they won today, isn't going to beat many decent football teams. And he's given himself another problem as well, because if you're Casemiro, you're thinking, why am I getting taken off? You know, why is it better for the team when I'm not playing? These are all the things that he'll be thinking about. And Ten Hag's going to have to speak to him and come up with some sort of positive of why he brought him off, whether he was resting him, or just come up with something that will appease what's going through Casemiro's head. So, yeah, it's a fantastic feeling when you win a game like that. But I'll tell you what, just more questions and certainly no answers for Ten Hag.
Rob, back to you in Manchester. You mentioned the name Andre Onana, and he was under the pump after conceding yet another soft goal. I think he owes Scott McTominay a beverage or two. What is the goalkeeping situation now? They got the result, but how are United feeling about their goalkeeper at large? And what's the sentiment around Old Trafford with yet another less than stellar concession?
Yeah, I mean, he's under pressure. There was a lot of optimism when he came in the summer because it was meant to signal the start of Ten Hag playing the football that he wants to play. You know, that possession-based game, you pass out from the back. Ten Hag has said a couple of times last season that he needed a better goalkeeper to do that. That's why they got rid of David De Gea, who's a great shot stopper, but not great with the ball at his feet, and brought in Onana, who was meant to be one of the best ball-playing goalkeepers in the world. It's just that he's had a very, very difficult start to his career at Man United. He made an awful error in the Champions League game against Bayern Munich. He was at fault for the situation against Galatasaray midweek that saw Casemiro get sent off. He won't want to see this Brentford goal again because even though there are a catalogue of errors leading up to it, he should have saved Jensen's shot. It's a weak shot and it's squirmed under his right hand. He looks like he's tried to sort of smack it away off the line and really he should have just caught it. It really is a really poor error. And lots of Man United fans are looking at him thinking that why is this guy Man United goalkeeper? And also, why is he replaced David De Gea? David De Gea, remember, is off. He hasn't got a club yet. You know, United, in theory, could re-sign him for nothing tomorrow. They're obviously not going to do that, but they could. And so there are an awful lot of questions around Andre Onana. And even though today, again, Stevie talks about the feel-good factor around the game today, and there certainly will be that. But one of the things that will be clear in the cold light of day tomorrow and for the next couple of weeks is that Andre Onana is just not playing well for Man United. And at the moment, it looks like every shot that comes in on United's goal is going to go in. In fairness to him, he made two half-decent saves in the second half with a score at 1-0. Not amazing saves that you would expect him to make, but still he's kept the ball out. But, it really is. It's a big question mark. And when United restart after the international break, I think they've got an away game at Sheffield United first up. The questions will still be being asked about Andre Onana. The pressure will be on, and all eyes will be on him against Sheffield United to see if he's making mistakes again. He really needs a run of clean sheets. He needs a run of quiet games where he goes under the radar and people forget about him, because at the moment, every single eye is on him. And even today, the ball gets rolled back to him. The Brentford fans are on him straight away, umming and ahhing every time he touches the ball, expecting a mistake. It's just, when you're under pressure like that, it's very, very difficult to escape it. And he just needs a couple of quiet games.
Yeah, Stevie, Rob mentioned it. He was a superior option to David De Gea with the ball at his feet, but shot stopping is rudimentary to the position. It is a prerequisite. How hard is it for a player to overcome the psychological hurdles that have seen him now concede goals you expect him to stop against Galatasaray in Champions League and then the opener today against Brentford?
Well, it's certainly not easy. You have to have a strong mind. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to understand that every player, regardless of your position, goes through tough times. He's going through a tough time. We will see how strong he is mentally. Again, for me, one of the biggest problems with the fact that Onana's struggling is it spreads to his back line as well. That's a major problem. So now they're being very careful what kind of balls they give him, how they give him it. And to do that, it takes more time, which means that they're getting closed down quicker, which in turn means that the goalkeeper's getting closed down quicker. So all of these things go against the whole team. It's not just Onana. Because if you're any opposition, regardless of whether it's Brentford or whether it's Man City, regardless, you're encouraged to put the goalkeeper and the back line under pressure. You're encouraged to put the back line under pressure so that they pass it to the goalie, and then once it's going to him, you're encouraged to go and close him because he's lacking in confidence. So, this is not just an Onana problem. It actually affects the whole back line of United.
Rob, one more question before we let you go. You mentioned that after the international break, United go to Sheffield and they have Copenhagen at home in Champions League. Then it's the Manchester derby. So the opportunity to build up some confidence, but then it gets very real before the end of the month. Looking at United's season the rest of the way, given where they are now, what do you think are the barometers or the touchstones for success for Erik ten Hag in this club?
Well, I mean, the first job that he needs to do is to make sure that today this result is a building block to something else and not just a result that kind of plasters over everything. They need to go to Sheffield United and win, and then win in midweek against Copenhagen and string some kind of run together. That's the first job. Beyond that, the very minimum target for Man United is to finish in the top four. Obviously, that's going to be very, very difficult, even from this position, because they've lost so many games already. The problem that Erik ten Hag is facing now is that because he had such a good first season, they qualified for the Champions League, they won a trophy. The United fans are heading into this season thinking, well, we need to make the next step. He spent a fair amount of money in the summer. He brought Andre Onana in and Mason Mount and Højlund. So he has been able to bring players in, and United fans were looking at the club to make the next step and possibly just get a little bit closer to City and Arsenal at the top of the Premier League. Already, even though we're only in the early October, that's probably gone. The one target that he needs to achieve is to finish in the top four. No Man United manager post Sir Alex Ferguson has gone an entire season in charge and not finished in the top four and kept their job. History tells us that Man United post Fergie, that if you don't finish in the top four, you get sacked. And that will be in the back of Erik ten Hag's mind. At the moment, he's got the support of the majority of fans. It seems that he's got the majority of the players behind him, judging by the comeback today. But they need to make sure they finish in the top four, because the very bare minimum for this club is to play in Champions League football. They can't have another season where they're finishing around sort of 7th, 8th, scrapping to qualify for the Europa League, because that simply isn't good enough. I think that the big targets of this season are already gone, to be honest. Challenging for the title. They need to finish in the top four, and already it looks like it might be a scrap all season.